Hey guys, I'm Greg. This is my informative video, and here's my audience, I guess. All right, so start off here. So according to the EPA, the United States Environmental Protection Agency, um, humans have been the number one contributor of pollution in the air, like greenhouse gases. CO2, for example, is the number one polluter of the atmosphere, and it comes one of the main sources that it comes from is burning fossil fuels for energy that we use in our homes, like for our lights and everything else. We burn fossil fuels, which creates a ton of carbon dioxide or CO2, which pollutes our atmosphere. Um, so I'm going to talk about the effects that CO2 pollution has on land, the effects that CO2 pollution has in the water, and the effects that CO2 pollution or the other options that we have for energy use. So CO2 pollution affects the human population health, and by causing many people to have more diseases, like such as heart disease and respiratory problems like asthma, and even cancer. So in human populations, they spend a lot more money on healthcare, like especially in areas around fossil fuel power plants and such. So when states reduce their CO2 emissions, people are less likely to get sick, and they spend less money on healthcare bills and such. Um, the second thing I want to talk about on land is acid rain is a cause from CO2, and it does a lot of bad things to the environment, like kills plants and whatnot, as well as damages waterways and stuff. So plants will die when they get too much acid rain in them. And I want to show you this picture here that shows some good damage of acid rain in these areas here with the arrows that shows dead areas of the forest, and that is all caused by acid rain, which really kills the vegetation there, and that's bad because we need vegetation obviously to survive and breathe oxygen because we breathe out CO2, and this plants use the CO2, but too much CO2 could also be a problem for them as well. But we need them to produce our oxygen. So that's about it on land, and we'll move on to what CO2 pollution does in water. It's actually one of the main things it's doing in water is raising the temperature of the oceans, which is really bad for things that build shells, like coral and crabs and clams and all those other things. Coral might be the most important because it's the forest of the ocean. It could be said to be, which is just like on land. If all our forests died, that would also be a really big problem for us, just like it is for the marine life in the ocean. Ocean acidification is increasing, which also that's what's causing the shell-building animals to not be able to build their shell and survive. Due to CO2 pollution, global temperatures are also rising, and that's causing the ice to melt, which is raising sea levels, which causes low-lying islands to be a threat and coastal cities to be a threat as well. So my third point is going to be alternative energy sources that we have to CO2 or to pollution with CO2. We have solar energy and wind energy and tidal energy, even from the oceans and whatnot. So there's a lot of different other stuff. Solar power is increasing in potential because it's coming to be more cheap and efficient as it's being researched and whatnot. Another big thing is also nuclear energy, which has a lot of potential, can create a lot of energy, which would be good because fossil fuels create a lot of energy as well. So something like that would replace it. Nuclear energy, yeah, if we find more sustainable ways and better ways to do it, then it could be really, really good as an alternative source to CO2 or fossil fuel burning. So overall, it's good to know about CO2 pollution effects because there's a lot of other ways that we could use to burn or to make energy. And yeah, that's my presentation here. I hope you learned a lot. There's my audience. Thanks, guys.